Welcome to the Why Not podcast, where I talk with leaders in business and education about innovation and change. Meet Kadan Ward, a marketing guru and entrepreneur who's turning creativity into remarkable results. With a proven track record in social media management, he's helped companies dramatically boost their customer acquisition, achieving a staggering 260% increase for the Advocates HQ through strategic social ads. Beyond that, Kadan has gone viral online, managed explosive follower growth for influencers, and even competed in Mr. Beast's global phenomenon, Beast Games, emerging victorious from challenges seen by millions worldwide. Whether he's navigating entrepreneurial adventures with his restaurant, Wings del Gringo, or sparking viral trends at Sable Media, Kadan embodies relentless energy, creativity, and a bold vision. Maybe you believe you're simply unlucky, but really that's just another excuse. The only difference between becoming fabulously rich, happy, and healthy versus ending up broke, depressed, and unhealthy are the choices you make. Nothing else will make the difference. Here's the thing about luck. We are all lucky. If you are on the right side of the dirt, have your health and a little food in your cupboard, you are incredibly lucky. Everyone has the opportunity to be lucky, because beyond having the basics of health and sustenance, luck simply comes down to a series of choices. And that's by Darren Hardy in his book, The Compound Effect. And I am thrilled to have the Kadan Ward on the Why Not podcast. Thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me and for having me, Noah. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm stoked. And for those who are just listening, I'm going to describe what I see right now. Kadan's got the Beast Games jersey on. He's got the Beast, Mr. Beast logo in neon behind him. That's pretty fantastic, man.
I got my hat as well.
And the hat.
Watch the show, so I got my official hat.
Wow, that's really cool. Remind me what number you were again, because I know it's on your hat and on your jersey, but remind me which one it is. Yeah.
So I'm 985.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Wow. Okay, then that's so cool. I was very excited to see you post about that when you were able to, and that was really fun. And man, you and I have known each other for a few years now. And I just feel like every time I get on LinkedIn or Instagram, you're either traveling someplace awesome or you're in like freaking Beast Games and doing something radical. And so, man, I'm just so happy to be able to talk to you and talk to you more about your experiences and your career and your life, and maybe get some of that advice that you just don't really talk about in like a, an informal or professional setting. So that's the whole idea here, is just to talk about ideas.
For sure. No, I love talking about ideas. So you ask away a ton, and I'm sure I'll learn plenty from you too.
Awesome, dude. Fantastic. Well, I wanted to use that quote to set the stage for today's conversation about luck, about how we are lucky, and about how hard work can influence your opportunities to have luck. I would like to know how luck has impacted Kadan's story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty loaded question. I feel like I could talk for a super long time about that. I feel like to put it briefly, I just feel like I've been pretty lucky in well, I guess first of all, the foundation, like my parents are very smart business wise. They're also very smart, like emotionally intelligent. I feel like they always treat other people with respect. Growing up, I was blessed with parents that were smart, right? But I feel like they did an extremely good job at how do I say it? Maybe gaslighting us into feeling like we weren't as blessed as we were. So I think that kind of made us as kids be more humble into realizing, yeah, we have to work for what we earn. Like you have to work super hard. So whereas like other people might be blessed growing up and they might feel entitled to things, I feel like I was always kind of like, oh no, I might not get into college, or oh no, I might not have enough money for this. I feel like that, like growing up with that taught me that, you have to really work for everything in your life. But being blessed with the parents that did have the skill set and were smart enough to and I'm blessed enough to financially save and things like that, and just kind of gave me and my siblings kind of a leg up, I think. And honestly, I feel like almost every experience I've had in my life, I've just been able to, I don't know if it's who I am or what, but just I think a lot of it is luck. I've been able to really kind of I don't know, have certain advantages. Like I did summer sales, that was super, super hard. And I feel like I was really lucky with like the team I got. But then later, because I had like a pretty good reputation for who I was able to get, great internship with the influencer. And then with the job I have now, with the law firm, the advocates, it was kind of a new position. So there's kind of a lot of pressure and a lot of spotlight on it. And I was able to kind of exceed expectations there to where I was lucky enough to kind of be, right there with the boss, not just, my manager, but the boss, like four people above me, where like I'm goody goody with him, right? More than
Yeah.
most people. So I feel like I've just been um really lucky. Yeah, it's hard to, like, how do you say that? Contribute it to anything specifically, but if I had to, I feel like part of it might have just been um how I was raised to be a little more humble yet eager with things, and I feel like people like that and want to give you luck and opportunities, if I could go with that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful answer. And really that taught humility it's almost like a lost craft. It's almost like just like it's more than just a soft skill at times. It can really define like what opportunities are given to you. And you're right, it was a loaded question. The reason I wanted to start out with that and the quote from that book, and as we dive into our conversation, is I think it would be easy for someone who's listening to your story for the first time. You're like, man, he's so lucky. Like, oh, he's on Beast Games. He's so lucky. Like, that's crazy. He did social media. All that stuff. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that of how hard you have worked and of how much you have had to dedicate your time in life towards having those opportunities for luck, right? Like I do quotations around the word luck because it's a very subjective, relative term. And your answer was perfect. Like having that humility taught to you from your parents and the grit that is instilled in you is really from my perspective, the foundational elements that have led to where you're at right now. So hopefully,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, absolutely, man. You mentioned learning humility from your parents, and you mentioned they're good at saving, things like that. Tell me why humility is important. Yeah, tell me what role that has played in your career.
Yeah, I think, well, and this also is maybe based on how I was raised, but people that are entitled like piss me off. People that are entitled, like I hate that. And like my dad being a pretty big business owner, like he hates people that are entitled. Like I've seen him just fire people like right on the spot for feeling entitled for something. And I've seen them become very humble immediately, and him showing no mercy after that, because being entitled is like one of the worst traits someone can have. And so I think just to be as opposite to that as I possibly can be,
Mm.
I've tried to be humble, and I'm not always humble. I mean, I have things I want to prove to myself, to the world. I want to show off in a certain way, and I probably need to do better in certain ways. But I think, yeah, I always just try to not view myself as better than anybody. I mean, maybe internally sometimes I think that, but at least on the outside, where it matters, like the most, is just trying not to show that. For example, like this has probably happened in every job. I could think of stories for each, but I'll just think of my job I have now. Actually just got a new position in the job I have, but with my former position, I just transitioned out of. I worked at the Advocates Injury Attorneys, so a pretty big law firm, and I was doing all their social media. When I started, we were doing different ads, and I was trying out new things, and they were really like flexible and just kind of wanted to test out new things. And for one of my ideas, I wanted to do an ad where it looked like this lawyer ran over an insurance guy. And I did it, and I thought it was really fun. I thought it was hilarious. I was laughing really hard, and I remember sending it to our marketing director when I did it, and she got a little upset and said, like, we will never do anything showing harm, like hurting anybody or anything, even if it's just a joke, blah blah blah. And it was it was over like an email, so I didn't like see her face,
Sure.
facial reaction or anything, but it came across pretty like she was pretty stern, like pretty like not happy. And I remember already having other ads that we had as like backups, not because that was like a procedure they put out, but that was just like my idea of like I've just, like yeah, you should always have backups for everything. And I remember like I didn't respond to her in a way that was like, well, blah blah blah, or I think this way, or like I just said, okay, I'm really sorry about that. Don't worry, we have this other ad that I know is fine. And like period, that was it. So I think like just putting myself in her shoes, like if someone did that to me, human instinct is to like, oh, if I was her like clapping back at an employee, I would subconsciously at least be expecting kind of a fight to break out or like kind of something to like come back. And so from her perspective to hear just a humble, like, okay, I'm really sorry, that won't happen again. By the way, we already have the job done. It's not like we're behind. Like I already have a backup that's ready to go. That would impress me a lot if I was in her shoes. And I remember after that, we never had any problems. Not that we had any before, but I just remember it seemed like just the way she treated me after that experience, even though she always treated me well, it seemed like she respected me a lot more because of that, because I was just trying to be humble and not push an agenda. Because in my mind, I'm like, this is a national law firm. It's been around for 30 years. I'm not even that old. I'm nothing compared to this. I'm the new guy. So why should I like clap back in any form? Like I have to be humble, even if I don't feel like it, you know?
I love that. The contingency plan, the having
Yeah.
something prepared and having multiple layers of preparation. That that's
Yeah.
awesome. I do think there's a level of humility that you have to do that, to be prepared and have those contingency plans. And you're absolutely right. That's what builds trust. We both work in a regulated industry, and that impacts marketing. We're different industries. You're in legal, I'm in finance, but like that impacts marketing quite a bit. And
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of digital marketers, especially, really struggle with the fact that you can't just be creative. Like yes, you need to be creative, but within the bounds of the regulatory environment, which from a industry standpoint, obviously, but from a marketer standpoint, very different than anything you're like taught in college or even working in the agency field. Is quite different that way. And the biggest thing I've seen lead to success in terms of actually getting creative campaigns out there is having multiple layers of prepared contingency plans. So if the big, bold idea gets shot down, you have other options to go with. And you are a perfect example of that. You mentioned not feeling like the importance of not feeling entitled, and how your dad would fire employees on the spot for acting too entitled. You have that humility about you. You and I had the opportunity to work at Incline Marketing back in the day. And one of the distinct, I still remember this so distinctly. You pull up for your first day on the job in a freaking Tesla. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're at BYU, Idaho, small town, Rexburg, Idaho. At that point, like maybe 3 people in the town had a Tesla. I was like, what the heck? Who is this kid? And so I was like, you have a Tesla? That's awesome. Like, CJ's been wanting one of those. I've been looking at that. Fabi, like, here you are. Like you mentioned, you're not 30, even 30 yet. You got an awesome car. And you're like, oh yeah, it's cool. I enjoy it. Like I got it from Summer Sales. And like you were excited to show us, but like super chill. Like nothing like, oh well yeah, that's cause I'm like, I busted my behind at Summer Sales and I'm like super good at this, blah, 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 blah. Like you were very humble, not entitled at all. And for something that, especially for that group of guys that you know who I'm talking about, like that could have easily been a trophy you could have rubbed in everyone's face and used as like your way to like prove it in a news spot, and you didn't. And I've always respected you for that. Plus it was a really cool car and you gave me free rides all the time, and that was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
Tell me more about your experience though with Summer Cells, since that's kind of where that we're going now. What did you learn about resiliency? Like as we're talking about humility, that has to tie in there somehow. Help me understand how that is involved there.
Yeah. Summer cells changed my life. And yeah, honestly, like going back to like you saying I like had to have a Tesla, I'm like, oh, that's so cool, and how I wasn't like rubbing it in or anything. Like maybe this is the side, this is like the not humble part of me coming out, but like I pride myself in being real. Like I try to just be real with like everything. So like to be honest, like I feel like in my eyes, and I've noticed in the world's eyes, like people love the people who are more chill or more like not bragging about things like that. So for
Mm.
me, it was like it wasn't an act. Obviously, I mean that's I was genuinely who I was and like how I acted about that. But like as a side effect, like I knew that like, oh, if I'm not gonna brag about this, I'm gonna be chill. That's an even bigger like trophy or brag, I guess, if I did it that way. So like that's not plan A. That's like that's a side effect. But it just kind of like I was like it worked for my benefit. So I loved doing that. And
Obviously, it
I
worked.
also, yeah, well,
It worked.
also like I talk to my friends, and like if you ask any of my friends, like one of my favorite things, like I love to do, and I'm like super well known for, is like surprising people. Like I love surprising people and like seeing the look on their faces, like for anything and everything. Like whether it's something like a present I'm giving them, or something we're doing together and I don't tell them, or like a joke or something about me. I don't just anything. And with like yeah, that was like just a highlight for years, even to this day. Like someone found out I had Tesla like, maybe last week or the week before, and it happens like all the time. And then they just freak out. I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm like at the same time like I don't want to be cocky, I don't want to like say anything, but still it's just like, but I still get the satisfaction of like, ooh, I surprised them, like the look on their face, right? So like in college at BYU, up in Rexburg, like it was super fun to like get out of my car and people like stare or like things like that, and I'm like, I promise I'm not those douchebags that knock doors. Like I am now, and I realize they're not that much douchebags. They just are a little more cocky, and we all have our issues, right? And that's a stereotype. But like, if you talk to me, I'll be super nice to you. Anyways, but to answer your question, which like I could do a whole podcast on just this in and of
Yeah.
itself, but like, yeah, like resilience in that. Well, I guess so I went on a Latter-day Saint mission. I went to Peru, and when I came back, that's kind of the typical thing for people that might be listening and don't know. But typical thing is a lot of guys get recruited for summer cells, and it's viewed as a pyramid scheme and scam, and people get screwed over, blah blah blah. And I read into that. And my sister, who she's like super entrepreneurial and great, and she's super successful, probably more successful than I am at this point in our lives. She tried to do summer cells right before I came back from my mission, and she hated it. She was only there for like a week and she hated it. And she's way more like stubborn, go getter. She was way more popular than I was, like in high school, stuff like that. And so for me, like immediate no, like for the first like year or two. And I had a cousin. He started doing it. He did awesome, but he was also like really good basketball player, super good talking to people all growing up. So I was like, oh, like makes sense that he would do well. But I fed into the like, oh, it's a scam and you get screwed over, all that stuff. But what changed for me, and whoever, whatever you believe in or don't believe in, but like for me, like believing in a higher being, like I genuinely believe I had luck of like trying to figure out what to do. And then all of a sudden, some kid at my apartment complex who I'd never met, like there's a Tesla in the apartment complex. And it's like, like you said, it was like, and this was before I got mine, like 2 years before. So it was like probably the only Tesla in
Yeah.
all of BYU, Idaho. And I was like, oh my gosh, like Tesla's kind of a new cool thing. People are like starting to get them. Like I love like Elon Musk and all this stuff. So I remember like telling myself, like this is kind of when like the real Caden started to be born. Like the insecurity started to shed off, where I'm like, I have to like take control of my life. Like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I need to like put myself out there. So I remember thinking, I'm gonna be friends with this kid. Like I have to be friends with this kid. And I remember seeing him in the parking lot one day and being like, hey, I love your Tesla. And he was just like super nice. And it's like, would you want to ride in it sometime? I was like, sure. And took me for a ride. It was so sick. It was one of the coolest things ever. And he let me drive. He's like, you can just drive it. And I was like, he was beyond nice. And then in my head, I'm like, he might just be like trying to like recruit me to like go sell with him, because I've heard they get a cut of everyone. But I was like, but either way, like he's still nice. Like that's whether he has ulterior motives, I can always say no. Like I'm not going to just say yes because he's nice to me to go sell with him or whatever. Right? So long story short, he never asked or convinced me. Like I eventually decided like I need to try this out, because proves it's not a scam if this kid has one, and he's only been doing it for like 2 years. So like it's not like I'm just like listening to BS. It's like, hey, there's proof right here. He has like a literal car, you know? And I think also, just a second. Sorry, my computer is like,
You're good.
it just said it's dying, but I've got a plug right here, so I'm just plugging it in real fast. Anyway, so I decided I'm like, you know, I feel like this is the good opportunity. If I'm going to learn from anyone, I at least am friends with this kid. This will like push me to do something. And like this is like I'd been searching for what to do for my life for such a long time.
Mm.
And this is like the first time I felt so hungry for something. And I'm like, I can do this. And like me growing up as like the shy, quiet Kaden, like if I can go and do summer sales, and I know everyone, like nothing against anybody, but I know everyone was going to be like, oh yeah, he probably won't do super well. He's like really quiet. Like he's not going to do well. Like if I can prove it to people, ooh, that would be the most satisfying feeling in the whole freaking world. So I remember like just copying my team leader, like, because he was pretty similar to me. So I just like learned everything from him, like tit for tat, how to do the pitch, what kind of mindset to have, what books to read. And I just noticed never thought I was a super big entrepreneurial person, like kind of, but not really. And so I just knew I realized I was, and like finally I'm fitting into these people that I am really similar to. I just never realized I was. And so when I went out, I just remember going out, it was 2020, so COVID. So everyone was like scared and like, oh, you're gonna do so bad, or oh, sales, those aren't gonna happen, like who's gonna answer the door for you? And I remember thinking, like, I don't care. I'm just gonna go. Like, people will be home. That's a better mindset to have. And I naturally just had that mindset. Whereas that was also the marketing strategy of the company. Obviously, if they want
Mm.
to make money, they've got to like, okay, we're just gonna tell people like, hey, people are gonna be home, so you can knock and people will answer,
Yeah.
whether it's true or not. And that was just naturally my mindset. So I remember just when I went out there, um, I was just so hungry to prove everybody wrong and also to make a ton of money because I knew it was possible.
Yeah.
And I knew if this kid that's like really similar to me made so much money and he has a Tesla, then I can do it. Like, why can't I do it? So I literally just, I was so prepared, way more prepared than the other guys. They were all just kind of like, oh, whatever, we're just gonna go and see what happens. And I like had practiced and knew everything like line by line. And the biggest thing in my head, besides proving it to everybody, was like I wanted a Tesla too. Like I want to roll up in Rexburg and have a Tesla and be like the cool kid because I've never been the cool kid ever in my life. I was never ever the cool kid. I was always the nerd, the quiet kid growing up, everything. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was like, oh, I can like flip my life around. That would be so cool. So I remember just going out and I sold four people before lunch on my first day, which selling four period in a day is like, that's great. So before lunch, and I remember everyone, even the like couple of team leaders who are like these big, like macho guys. One was like an influencer, like on Instagram, and he was like, holy crap, who is this kid? And I think for me, just having that luck of my first day, all that prep behind me, and so motivating. Like, if I'm going to do it, I knew how many I had to sell to get a Tesla, all that stuff. It just it just boosted my confidence and had that momentum to where I just had this like glow on me. And I felt like that just gave me so much momentum that when people would get mad at me and stuff, I had that momentum like so built up that it only chipped away a little bit. And I still had a ton of that like
Mm.
happiness and excitement. But then also, I just had a great team, great support. I was lucky to have really good people around me to lift me up so I didn't get as down. But there still was so many downtimes when people would like call the cops or scream at you, and it's just like it really does affect you like bad, and you feel like a terrible person. Or I've made mistakes, or I did lie like a couple times, and like people had like called me out on it later, and that felt terrible. But I mean that's just life, you learn from your failures more than your successes. So yeah, I feel like my resilience, to kind of summarize the answer to your question, was just mainly just like having that like, I'm going to buy a Tesla and I'm going to prove everybody wrong. That was the biggest thing ever. And just, I was so motivated and just imagining what everyone would say and think about me if I could do that, because that was literally the opposite of who I was my whole life. So
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. And
thanks.
you had that person to admire and look up to. You had that negative feedback to defy, and then you had your goal of getting a Tesla. And you had all the ingredients to just own it. And I love that.
Mhm.
You mentioned that was really where the true Kaden was born. If you could go back to the Kaden making that decision, hey, do I go down this direction or not? Like, is this possible? Are these people that are saying negative things right? If you had one thing you could say to him now, the current you, going back in time to that Kaden, what would you say to him?
Yeah, the person you want to be, you're going to become that really soon.
That's
Like you're
awesome.
going to become that really soon. And just adding to that, I think I always had this person in my mind of who I wanted to be as like a teenager and stuff, and I just never knew how to become that. And I think a lot of times we want what we can't have or what we is, seems so far out, right? And I think for me, it was like I just noticed some kids in high school that were like the jocks, but they were nice to everybody, even the losers at school. And
Mm,
I always thought like I wanted to be that. I wanted to be like so admired, yet friends with even the losers, that were like everybody loved me because I loved everyone, but I was like cool, where it's like you can, because normally you think of like super rich, cocky person, they're above everybody, but the ones that can like be that, but also like so humble and nice to everyone, like I always wanted to be that. And I felt like, like I honestly, like I said, some cells gave me the opportunity to like be that person in a way.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and that rings true. I read a study, man, I forget who it is. So if anyone listening knows, please send it to me so I can cite it. But there was a study that showed that, and they interviewed high school students, and they interviewed the high school students that were popular and the high school students that were not, to try to figure out like, okay, what makes someone popular. And they found that all the popular kids, like you're talking about, had longer, the most common thing that they had that the non-popular kids had, they had a longer list of the people they liked. And so it wasn't so much that they were liked by everyone, it's that they liked everyone. And in turn, that like naturally made them the popular kid. That goes along with what you're saying. It's like, yeah, I wanted to be like those guys who are just nice to the nerd. Having been a nerd, I agree. Like those guys were sometimes
Yeah.
like, they're kind of who help you get through the day sometimes. And it's interesting and it's insightful to, and really cool to see you reference wanting to be like that, telling your younger self that you will be that as you have become that. That's really cool. Tell me a little bit more about authenticity, because you have your own social media presence. You've done social media for clients. You've obviously the advocates. That's where you're working right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about Mr. Beast's Amazon Prime Beast game soon. But I feel like social media is often a place where people are fake and influencers are posturing as authentic for likes and views, but they're not actually authentic. To you, what's the difference between trying to look authentic for likes versus actually being genuine?
Yeah, that's a super, super good question. And I think that's one that like a lot of people want to know. I don't know, I think, yeah, and there's probably so many ways I could answer this question, but just because Summer Cells is on my mind right now,
Yeah.
I think my team leader, his name's Hiram, I think he honestly affected me in like so many ways. It was like such a good example because he was this cool kid that had a Tesla, was making all this money. But then like when he would post on his Instagram and on his stories, he would be so authentic that it was just like contagious. And I was like, he's like saying stuff that everyone wants to say, but is like too scared to say. Or he's like being silly in a way that like people are think was like too cringe if they put themselves. But like I love watching him do that. And everyone is that, but they're just too scared to show it. So like why not just be yourself?
Hmm.
So I think like going back and looking at like my social media and like some stuff I would cringe at because I was like I was a nerd back then, or oh that's weird that I posted about that. But I think like around the time that I started doing sales was when like my authentic like the real Kaden was born, how you kind of mentioned it. That was when I'm like, dang, I'm like in Atlanta, Georgia, working, doing knocking on people's doors during a pandemic that happens once a century. This is like it's easier to post about when it's like cool, you
Mm,
know? So I think, yeah, you should always be authentic, but I don't know. I just feel like lucky that my authentic self was also like I was proud of.
mm.
Like, yeah, if you're proud of like for example, I love to play the organ. And I remember doing a post about going to this organ concert. Looking back, I'm like, ooh, that's so cringe. But I'm like, I'm glad I was like fine posting about it.
Yeah.
But when I could do something like that, like summer sales and post about it, I'm like, this is like me being authentic. Holy crap, look at what's happening. But also, um, like it's cool. It made it less difficult to be authentic because I thought I was like proud of it. Um, but then I think just as time went on, just the people around me. is probably what made it easier for me to be authentic.
Mm.
Like I lived with my cousin David my entire time in college, and he's like one of the funniest people I know. And we would always just do funny things and just hang out together. And so it was like easy to post funny stuff, and we just like laugh together. Like, I can't believe that. Look at this, or what are people gonna think, you know? So I think overall you need to be authentic, and maybe I don't have the answer, golden answer of how to do that. But if I did have to choose one, it'd probably be like surrounding yourself with people that love and care about you.
Mm.
Because, like I said, my whole summer sales team, they weren't the jocks. They were guys that had dreams like me that wanted to do things like that. But I just noticed that as I got to know them, we were all really similar and had the same type of humor, all these different things. So it was easier to post about stuff because I knew they would be seeing it and they would talk to me about it, and we just laugh all together and experience something together. But then living with like my cousin, it was just easy as like best friends to like post stuff together or whatever. And besides posting, it's just, I don't know, like when you're around people that love and support you, it's so much easier to be yourself and
Mm.
be authentic. So I've just been pretty lucky in having people around me that love and support me. I haven't always had people like that. And it's hard to be authentic when you're in a situation like that. But I think that's something that helps a lot, is surrounding yourself with the right people.
I love that. Yeah, that's definitely key. It's the people that you choose to spend your time with. Like, do you want to spend time with someone that's going to be constantly putting you down, or do you want to spend time with someone that's going to embrace you for who you are? I love that.
Yeah.
And man,
And the one thing too,
yeah,
sorry, I just have to
no,
say
please.
one other thing is like, it's just me, and this is why I don't do it, but I'm like, I can see through everyone that's being fake on social media. I'm like, it's so freaking easy to see when everyone's just being fake. And it's just like cringe and dumb. And I'm like, you're just like posting a thirst pic, which is fine, but like they do it like in a way that like someone can do it in a way where like, oh, that's a good thirst pic, that's funny, or oh, that's cool, or oh, that is a great picture. But like you can just see the cringe when it's fake. And I just I'm like, I'm not like, who wants to be cringe? Like if I can see through it, I feel like everyone can, which obviously they can because people do fake stuff all the time, you know, and if they knew people could read through it, they wouldn't post it, right? But I'm like, I feel like I can read through everyone when it comes to stuff like that, like being fake. So like why would I want to be like that, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like your point earlier is like it's not cringe if it's real. Like if you're being true to yourself, it's not necessarily cringe. Someone else doesn't like that. Cool. Keep scrolling. Continue.
Huh?
Move about your day. I love that. I
Exactly.
mean, you mentioned it's easy to spot fake people, and like I do think, especially since COVID, people's like bullshit alarm is way more fine tuned. Where it's like, okay,
Yep.
yeah, you're just full of fluff and fake and nonsense. But tell me, what are Caden's three rules for identifying someone fake or posturing on social media?
That's interesting.
You said it's easy for you to spot
Yeah,
them. So teach me, how do I
yeah,
spot them?
I feel like at this point it's just so easy. I just look at them like, oh yeah, fake, boom, whatever. And it's like I don't like people like that, so I just don't pay attention to them.
Sure.
But if I had to, let me think about that. If I had to choose three things that make someone fake, virtue signaling is one, where you like try to seem like so righteous and so such like a good person, or like such like an activist, which I think activism is great. Everyone should have the right to like be an activist for whatever. But I feel like so many people, like you can just tell, I don't know how, but it's just kind of like human psychology when you can tell like someone's faking a smile. You can tell when someone posts about like some cause or something and they don't know anything about that, or they're just doing it to look good.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, yeah. So I think virtue signaling is like a big red flag of someone being fake, where they just like want to look good. Um, which, I mean, I've been a little bit like this. And I've made a rule actually with myself the past couple of months. And we'll see if I stick to it. But like speaking out virtue signaling, like I did this. I would always post about friends or family when they had a birthday and like a picture of them, like happy birthday. And like I was genuine about it. But then after a while, I would just notice like it seemed to be like a competition almost between like me and my friends, you know, like a group
Mm.
chat when someone says happy birthday to someone and then everyone feels like they have to say it. It almost started feeling like that when I post about someone's birthday because all my other friends are doing it. So then I felt like I had to. So then it felt less genuine. And then I started to feel like, oh, people are just looking at this and they can see that I'm just trying to seem like a good person, you know? So in the past couple months, I've kind of decided I'm like, I don't think I'm going to give a happy birthday shout out to anybody anymore, Instagram or anything. We'll see, like I said, we'll see if I stick with it. But that's like one thing where I feel like it's just less genuine. So that would be one. Couple others would be, yeah. Okay, second one would probably be someone that has like a ton of friends, like so many
Mm.
friends. And I feel like the more friends you have, the less friends you have, like I mean, and I still want to be this person, and I want to be someone that is friends with everyone. But like you can be friends with everyone, but like you can't be friends with
Right.
everyone.
Yeah.
Like you need like so someone that treats every single person as like their best friend. Yeah, like I think it's a fine line, and maybe I will take this back later, but I feel like there's those people are usually fake, and it's really hard to be. But I think some of the most genuine people can pull that off. Like some people I know, they really can pull that off too, but they're just like kind of one in a million. So I
Yeah.
think that's a good sign. And then the third, if I had to do a third one, would be I don't know. If I had to choose something, I'd say they just have the look. Like you can just see it. They just have fake face.
The
They just have
look.
fake. They have, yeah, they just have fake look. They're just like too happy all the time. Or they're just you can just see the uncanny valley vibes in their face. I don't know if that's very helpful, but yeah, if I had to choose a third one, I'd do that.
Yeah, fair enough. I love it. That's awesome. All right, there we have it. The 3 rules from Kaden on how to identify fakeness. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So you participated in Mr. Beast Games on Amazon Prime. I watched it. It was awesome. It was fantastic. I was looking for you. I spotted you, I think, once. It was like with the one with the balls falling down from the ceilings or something. I was like, wait a minute, that was Kaden.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was so cool. Tell me a little bit about what that
Mhm.
experience was like.
Oh, yeah, I could talk about this for hours. That was the best experience of my life, period. Like, it was so amazing. Yeah, when I got accepted July 13th. It was a Saturday,
Nice.
last year.
Oh, wow.
That day until about now, I've cried every single day, like literally every single day. Like just I have moments where I think about it and I like start tearing up, thinking like I can't believe I got to do that. Like, I can't believe I got chosen for that. Like holy cow. And I'm someone um like yeah, I'm a marketer, I'm a salesman. Like I fall for the marketing schemes of everyone and everything. If they have like a good marketing thing, like I'll believe it and be like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So like I think one of the reasons I was so emotional is because they hyped it up so well for us contestants of like this is gonna be the biggest TV show in world history. Your life is going to change. Like blah blah blah. Which all of it is true. But that just like added to the pressure of like holy crap, where like my family didn't really even know who Mr. Beast was. And so for them, they're just like, oh, like, what are you doing? Or what's this? To where like then me, when I get accepted, I'm like crying and they're like, oh wow, like you're gonna do this, but we'll see. And I remember like my family, like when we did watch it all together, they were like, oh wow, this is like way better than what you described. Like in their mind, when I would tell them like we did this or this, they were still amazed. They're like, whoa, that's crazy. But like they did not like imagine like when they actually saw the final product of
Yeah.
like how big of a deal it was, the marketing and everything, like, oh wow, this is Hollywood. I'm like, yeah, I told you.
Like you kind of
you
have
know?
to see it to believe it for sure. Like it's
Uh-huh.
hard to explain. It's just that type of show, and they did a fantastic job and phenomenal season for it. It was really really well done. But
Yeah.
I tried explaining it to an older gentleman, and he was very confused. He's like, "Wait a minute, what they did? What?" And I was like, no, you just have to watch it. That's really cool. So your
Uh-huh.
family didn't know who Mr. Beast was beforehand. Now they do. There we go, marketing.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, they love
But
Mr. Beast now. They love Mr. Beast.
that's awesome, man. Was there any part that you feel like was harder than you thought it would be going into it? Because like watching the competitions and like all the contestants, like it looked pretty hard.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think yeah, every day, so every challenge, yeah, every single challenge, even the YouTube video, every challenge took a day to film. So when it looks like, we did 4 challenges in one episode or in one YouTube video, like no, that was 4 days, right? So like every day you'd wake up and I would just have like a pit in my stomach. You're just terrified. Like, is something gonna happen and I'm gonna get eliminated? Or like, is the camera gonna come up to me and I'm gonna have to like say something? Or is Mr. Beast gonna like single me out? Or am I gonna get chosen to be a leader for that? Like, nobody had any idea what was happening. And it's just terrifying to think like my life could change right now, or I could go through something so embarrassing. And I've signed my life away. Like anything that I say or do, they can be like, yep, we're using this. you know? You know, so like if I do something so embarrassing, they're gonna throw it up. So I just have my mind was just racing constantly. Um, and trying to think of like what was harder than I was expecting. Honestly, nothing was harder than I expected. I was like honestly super locked in. Like I remember when I like got accepted, and even before I got accepted, while I was doing all the paperwork, just my like going back to summer sales, my summer sales brain turned on of like I'm taking this super serious, like, but I'm also gonna be level headed enough to be like, yeah, I could lose at any moment and I can't cry about it because, like, you know, just the fact of even getting accepted if I do is just like a miracle. So, like, I need to be humble and not like be super pissed if I get eliminated, but like, I'm not here to be people's friends because we might have to backstab each other at some point. Like, I've
Yeah.
got to be like super locked in. So, yeah, I don't know if that's a great answer,
Oh,
but I
that's a
just feel
great
like I was just
answer.
so focused that I was just prepared for honestly anything and everything.
Tell me, I mean, you mentioned being like locked in. So, like, tell me, were you more focused on having fun, having a good time, being there for the moment, or were you focused on winning?
Yeah, I was focused on winning,
Nice.
honestly. Like, honestly. And not necessarily winning like the 5 million, which later turned out to be 10 million.
Yeah.
Because I knew statistically that was a 0.1% chance. So I knew statistically that was low and that, you know, we could end up in teams or someone could do something to me. So it might not be completely in my hands, but just making it like winning, as in to me, winning was like going as far as I could
Mm.
and trying to get as much screen time as I could. That was like for me was winning. So yeah, that was kind of what I was focused on. And this might be a question that you're thinking of asking later because it's something that people have asked me before. Like when people ask, like, is there one thing you regret? The only thing I would regret, which like I said, I feel very like I was very deliberate in everything I did. I was like as prepared as possible. But I would say my strategy of like being just friends enough with everyone, but not too deep, so that I possibly wouldn't be like a target for someone
Mm.
later down the road, or if I had to backstab someone, it wouldn't be as hard for me to do. And that was my strategy. I would say that is the one thing I regret because there, I feel like I could have had more like networking opportunities, more team opportunities, just more opportunities if I just leaned in even harder to
Mm.
the real friendships. But like I said, my logical mind and the advice I was getting from other people and stuff was like, don't get too attached. You got to be cutthroat. You got to just kind of like be nice enough to everyone where they like you, but not too attached. But I was like, yeah, I just wish I was a little bit more just like gave in to it and was just more invested in the other people around me. Because I think there was some good potential that maybe would have turned into something if I was a little more friendly or deeper with people, you know?
Yeah, that's great life advice. I mean, that's the difference between being competitive and being combative, right? Is like, yeah, like life is a team sport, and at some point, yes, someone has to lose for someone to win, and I'm a big believer in that. I don't believe in participation trophies at all. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think I got like maybe one when I was a kid because I'm a little before that era, and like I chucked it in the trash. I was like, no, I didn't win. I didn't win. But it's like,
Yeah.
to your
Heck yeah.
point, like that doesn't mean you can't be friends. And a lot of times that's how a lot of the teams won and did better in the
Uh-huh.
competitions, is they had that group, they had that ability, and you can compete without being combative. So that's great life advice. But I mean, hey, you were there. You did it. What was it like being in the town, in the Beast Games town? Because you made it that far in the season, I believe. Correct? Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, that was so every day on Beast Games was the best day of my life, like every single day. Like it was like I was like, oh my gosh, today is the best of my life. And I'm like, what's gonna happen tomorrow? Which when you like go back to your hotel and stuff, you're just like on a cloud. You're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And like my name is in their books and like they like Mr. Beast himself like needs to make sure I'm on set because if I'm not on set, he can't film. Like I'm important, you know? So like you're just on a cloud every day. But when we eventually got to Beast City, that like I said, that moment was the best day of my life up to that point because we just finished the last challenge. It was like maybe like 4 a.m. when we finished the last challenge in episode one,
Oh
which was
wow.
the bribes.
Yeah.
I said no to $100,000, which is crazy. Like that's like one of the coolest things I can ever tell people is like I turned down $100,000. Like it's easy, just push a button and got 100 grand. I said no to that. I'm like, that's awesome. So it was around 4 a.m. We finished that. And
Real quick, do you regret
we
that? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I just got to ask. Do you regret that?
No, you're good. No, I don't. I do not regret that because we all knew like which episode we were filming. We were like, we know this is episode one, and we knew there were 10 episodes, and he had told us like every episode is gonna be bigger than any YouTube video I've ever done. So we're like, if he's offering 100 grand in one episode, the first episode, like who knows what's coming next.
Yeah.
So like from my point of view, I'm like I'm not here for the money. The money would be awesome, but like let's see what's happening next. You know, who knows what we're gonna do. However, knowing that I got out and literally the next challenge, I probably like if I knew that, then yeah, I would have taken the 100 grand. That would have been way nice to have an extra 100 grand in the bank. So
But you did it. You did it. And you went to Beast City.
exactly, exactly. So going to Beast City, backing up, everybody knew about Beast City before we even started the game. So we filmed the YouTube video in July. We came home for about 3 weeks, and then we went out and went to Canada to film actual Beast games, the Amazon Prime show. And like the day before we left, like everyone flew out there, got this big email of like what to expect, which we thought was kind of nice because they didn't send any what to expect for the YouTube video for anything. We were just in the dark all the time. But for the what to expect email, they just told us that we would, if I remember right, they said that we would be doing some challenges and that eventually there would be the city that us only a limited number of people would get to go to. And that was basically all they told us. They're like, just be ready. Like, that's what's going to happen. And it just excited everybody. So everybody knew that there was the city, that there was a city he built for us. And that was all we knew. So when we did episode one, everyone was like, we got to make it to the city. We've got to make it to the city. Like, we're not there yet. We don't know when the city's coming or if it's next or what, but like, let's make it to the city. And then eventually, the last challenge, he's like, I have a city. There's 500 beds only, and we need to eliminate more people. So, and then that's when everybody really honed in on like, let's make it to the city. So the city was kind of the goal for everybody in the whole show
Yeah.
in the beginning. Like, let's just at least make it to the city. So I remember like having that as my goal. Like, let's just have that as a goal, Kaden, like make it to the city. Like everybody, that's who all their goal was. Let's just do that and then see what happens. So I remember like when I finally was like, I made it to the city, and like we're all like walking to the buses to get on, and all the people were like, "Oh my gosh, congrats, you guys! We're all going to the city together." And 500 people were eliminated, so like half,
Yeah.
everyone's gone. And we're like,
Brutal.
"Holy crap!" We just felt, yeah, it was so real. All just felt so cool. And I remember it was also kind of sad because we walked by some people on our pillars as we were leaving. They had to stay there to get dropped. They had to get film dropped after we all left. I remember walking past some people that were my friends, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what to say, but like, they're devastated, obviously. And I just like walked past them, like trying to be happy for myself, but keeping it in because, you know, they're devastated that they're not going.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got in the buses. Like I said, it's around like maybe 4 or 5 a.m. when we finished that. And we got in the buses, and the city was in the same area. It was an old, like, abandoned airport where they filmed everything. And the buses took us, there was, like I said, 500 of us, so the buses took us to the city, which was only maybe like a mile away, 2 miles away. It was in the same like abandoned airport. It was just a little further back.
That's cool.
We went out there, and I just remember we could see the big like Beast Games tower there and a bunch of houses, and we're pulling up, we're just like looking, and there's all these lights. They had this giant crane. They didn't really show this, but they had this giant crane that had this huge like building size light that was like shining down on the city. And it was literally like a movie set. I mean, it literally was, right? But it was like crazy to see that. And then there's
Yeah.
like guards and towers with like their cameras and stuff. And then we pull up to the city, and I remember being like, this is like our city. What is like, I mean, they have houses. So like, how long are we going to be here? Like, this is ours. Like, my family has no idea what I'm doing. And they're asleep, like in Idaho, and have no idea what I'm doing. But they're all wondering because they're like, he's on this giant TV show. You know, like everyone at work is crazy excited for me. So I'm like, nobody knows what I'm doing right now. I remember we all got off the buses, and we're so exhausted because so much stress from the games in the past few days, and we hadn't slept, and it's like 4 or 5 a.m. And I remember like you could see, I knew what time it was only because you could see like the sun start to come up, like the sunrise. It started
Wow.
just turning orange on the horizon. I'm like, that's, oh yeah. So it's like probably like 5 in the morning, like the sun's starting to come up. And I remember like the crew, they were like, guys, hurry, hurry. We've got to do this before the sun comes up. So we're like hurrying. And then like Mr. Beast shows up and they have all the drones flying around. And these guys with the giant cameras, they all show up, which that was when you feel so cool. So just like knowing like we're here, but they want to like film my reaction and like how I feel and like my smile and everything.
Yeah.
And then like Mr. Beast is standing there, he's got his like microphone and stuff. And then they're like telling him like, okay, like action, right? And then he like says like, here's the city I built for you, opens up the doors. And I remember like tearing up because it felt just like what you would imagine it feels like in Willy Wonka or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when they go in the chocolate factory when he like opens the door and it's just magical and you feel a little bit of that magic of what those kids felt. I'm like in that movie you like are like by proxy feeling a little bit how they felt. Where I'm like, there's no proxy here. There's no like imagination. I am that kid. Like I'm feeling that completely. And that was like that moment felt crazier and more exciting than any Christmas I've ever had in my life. Like even as like a little kid getting an Xbox, like and still and believing that actually like a Santa Claus that was magical like came down my chimney. Like I felt more magical in Beast Games than I did in that moment. And I remember just like going around and then we had a life-size chessboard, we had like ping pong tables, bikes, kites, cafeteria, our own beds for every single person, and just anything you could want. And it was all mysterious too, because we didn't know what was going to happen. So it just felt so magical. And he's like, this is for you guys. You can do whatever you want. You have as much food as you can eat. Like literally do whatever you guys want. And it was genuinely like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It was like I said, I cried. And I remember like going to sleep just being like, I can't believe I'm this far. Like, what if I win? What if like who knows how far I'm gonna make it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Wow. What is he like in person, like Mr. Beast himself? Like, not a lot of people, like, obviously, if you're in his videos, you do, but like to the average consumer, of which I am, what is he like? Help me understand what he's like as a person, just being in the same room as him.
Yeah, he's a lot taller in person than he is on the show on YouTube. I think he's like 6'4" or something like that. So yeah, and which I mean, if you pay attention, you could probably tell that on YouTube, but like in person, that was kind of the thing that shocked me the most. I was like, oh, like he's really tall. And I would say honestly, genuinely, he's the same behind camera as he is in front of the camera. Like he's
Nice.
still like super nice, loves to talk to people. He's still awkward. And it was weird because at some points, like I'd see him like just sitting by himself, like on his phone or like talking to someone. And I'm like, he's just like normal, just like a normal guy. But I'm like, but he's does these crazy things and is like the most viewed person on planet Earth. Like that's crazy. But like I said, I think genuinely the biggest thing was just like he's normal. One of my craziest experiences with him, like the most memorable of like me and him was when we got to the city. We like ran around for a little while and then they told us like everyone come to the front gates. Like they told everyone to come to the front gates. So when everyone finally got there, if you watch on the show, there's like these bleachers right by the gates. So we all got up on the bleachers and one of the producers just got on there and just kind of explained like, hey, like everyone go, like men are on this side, women are on that side, like go claim a bed, blah blah. And told us like we're not gonna film till tomorrow around like 5 p.m. so you can sleep. Like, you know, you guys have been working hard, blah blah. So they explained everything. And then they like dismissed us. And as they dismissed us, Mr. Beast, he just kind of just comes when, you know, you film something and he goes and does his own stuff because he has so much going on. But I remember when they dismissed all of us, I was like at the top of the bleachers and I remember and on the side. I remember just kind of looking over the edge and I saw him coming into the city again because apparently he'd like walked out or something. He came into the city and he was just by himself. He didn't have any of his friends around him, any bodyguards, nothing. And he just was walking in. I remember leaning over and I just said like, hey Jimmy. I was just like, thank you so much. This is the coolest thing of my entire life. Like that's like word for word what I screamed at him from the top of the bleachers, and he looked up at me, but he looked at me like awkward, and I'm like you're the cool famous one. I'm the normal like loser, right? And he looked at me the kind of awkward. He's like, thank you. I hope you like it. And then he like kept walking, but he sounded like an awkward way of
Yeah.
like he felt awkward or something, you know? I was like, that was like kind of cool that like he like said that, but like how he reacted to just me. It wasn't like there was a group of us. It was only me saying that to him.
The
So yeah. Then besides that, I
authenticity.
just yeah, he was very authentic, very very authentic. So I think that was kind of the best part about it.
That's so cool, man. That's really cool. Wow. Well, I'm glad you made it to B City and that you fought hard and you had a good time. And spoiler alert, you came home.
Yeah,
But hey,
I
dude,
did.
I'm proud of you, and you did well. You represented Idaho well, BYU Idaho well. Everyone that knows you well, you did fantastic. And man, what a stellar opportunity. Thanks for walking me through that. That sounds really cool. If you had a chance to do it again, would you do it?
But yeah, yep, I would totally do it. They've already started casting for season
Oh,
two,
wow.
and I'm in a ton of group chats and stuff. So like I
Yeah.
knew like the day it came out. And plus, like I'm like all of us are friends, so
Oh,
like
that's cool.
everyone just starts posting about it. So like my feed for the past 6 months have just been Beast Game stuff like constantly. So like I remember when it dropped, but my job honestly kind of bent over backwards to let me go, which
Yeah.
they're the best. Like I'm so lucky about that. And I just have a bunch of other stuff going on with my own business and everything to where I'm like, like, and it's been almost a year now since I applied and started going through the process. It was May 19th when I applied and I got a call back like immediately within like 2 days. So having Beast Games on my mind for nearly a year, like 11 months now, and then I'm like, that just takes up so much mental space,
Sure.
which was
Yeah.
fantastic. Where I'm like, I can't do that right now. Again, like I have too much going on. But like my big plan is like, oh yeah, once it hits like season 3 or season 4, I'm applying again, and I will apply every single year until I get back, until I go back again. So I will go back and like I said, it was the best thing of my life. So fun. Like I cried every day. I've never had anything so like exciting and scary and everything like something in sales and maybe in marketing too. Like they always say like try to stay in the middle emotionally.
Mm.
Like don't just get super high and super happy when you have those wins, because if you're just like so happy, then you're just gonna be crushed when you have those days that you don't sell anything or things aren't going so well. So like it's better to stay in the middle and be like, when something goes good, just be like, okay, I'm happy, but I might lose tomorrow, right? But with Beast Games, I really tried to not give into that because I'm like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I want to be as happy and through the roof as possible when I am. And it's okay if I'm like super, super depressed after, because like life, you've got to experience life. I want to taste like the happy and taste the sad. And I think for the next time, I'm going to go into that even harder. Where like I still kind of have that mentality of like trying to stay level headed, where I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to like eat up the happiness and the depression, because it honestly is like one of the greatest. Like it's I hope what I've conveyed on like social media stuff is like contagious enough to be like, it was so so sick, like so cool.
Well, it definitely is. Originally, I was going to reach out and just be like, hey, let's just chat on the podcast because you have cool ideas. And I was like, actually, like, let's chat on the podcast and let's talk about Beast Games because, like, I see your post about it all the time. I'm like, that's just so cool. It's so unique. So, yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I love your mentality there. And I fully expect to see you on the third season. Yeah, dude. Like, I love that. Get your hopes up, be willing to experience the highs, like the peaks and the valleys, like get your hopes up. I hate that advice when people are like, oh, don't get your hopes up. It's like, no, like have that contingency, have those layers of preparation like we talked about at the beginning of the conversation today. Have that prepared, but get your hopes up. And who knows, maybe you'll even get lucky.
Yeah, exactly. And just really fast, like
Yeah,
going off of that, like I said, I have so many stories from these games. I could talk forever, but like on kind of that same thread, I remember so in the YouTube video that was like the qualifying video to get onto Beast Games, it was at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And at the end, they gave us every single person, all 1,000 of us, Raiders t-shirts. And I remember having my like I'm not super into football, but now like the Raiders is gonna be my favorite team. Like that's who I'll choose, right? But I remember like having that shirt and we did like a big group picture. He never released that or posted it, but he took
sure.
a big group picture, everybody with the shirts on. I remember when I went to Toronto to film the actual Beast Games, that's the shirt I wore, because I'm like, I'm gonna be like festive. Like I'm gonna wear like, this is Beast Games. Nobody knows like I'm wearing a Raiders t-shirt, but like the general public that sees me just think, oh, he's just wearing that, right?
Yeah.
But like I was wearing that to be like festive of like, oh, this is remember guys. And I remember being in the elevator with some people, and one of the guys was like, look at this kid, he's really leaning into it. He's so happy. He's wearing that Raiders t-shirt. Oh my gosh, like that was such a hard, traumatizing experience for me. I don't think I could wear that. And I was like in my head, I was like, dude, like, why don't you like wear
Yeah.
that? Like, he's not leaning into the emotions of it. He's just kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm here. I'm like, do you not realize like how big of a deal this TV show is going to be? Do you not realize that like there's literally like starving people in Africa that would love to be on a Mr. Beast TV show? Like, holy shiz, like you are
Yeah.
so ungrateful, you know? And I'm like, and I'm eating it up. I'm gonna wear my Raiders t-shirt. I'm gonna blah blah blah, you know? So
Absolutely. It's cool to get excited. It's cool to be in the moment. It's cool to live to the fullest. It's the same type of thing where people make fun of people for being a tryhard. It's like, yeah, you bet I try hard. I work my ass off. You better believe it. So it's like,
yeah,
yeah, I
exactly.
love
No,
it, dude. Oh man. Well, you're
exactly.
fantastic. And yeah, oh man. I got two last questions for you tonight, and I feel like we could talk all night and keep going, but I want to be respectful of your
Yeah.
time. I want to ask you this question. If you could give one piece of advice to anyone listening who may be hesitant to create content or share their voice on social media, may be scared to be authentic and to be their real self, what advice would you share with them?
Yeah. Yeah. So first, I think I'm having two thoughts. So first is going to be a little cliche of like, be authentic. People like authenticity. Like just kind of what you'd hear from anybody. Like, yeah, you should. But it's true. Like people do like authenticity way more than being fake or just trying to be cool because people can see through trying to be cool when you're not, or just like being fake, right?
Mm.
And it's hard at first, it's like scary at first, but once you get like some good feedback, or someone like mentions, I saw you posted about this, or oh, that looks so cool that you did this, or someone swipes up on your story or comments or something, then it like validates you and it gets easier. It gets easier over time, you know? And then I think the second thing, which might be a little bit this might be a little bit controversial, maybe a little like different of
I
advice,
love it.
is that how do I say it? Sometimes it isn't good to be authentic. So like make sure your authentic self is a good person or a good thing, like genuinely, some people genuinely are really weird. And you see them on social media, like they're genuinely like weird or don't have good taste in something, or like design something really bad, or their post really is kind of trash. And like, yeah, you're gonna like hate comments and that's not gonna help, and you're gonna like quit, and you're not gonna be authentic. Like if your real self is like terrible, right? Like I don't know how else to word it. So
Maybe work
I
on
think a
yourself
good
first.
yeah, like first of all, work on yourself. But second of all, I think something that can help validate you and make you a little less scared to be authentic is to like do your homework a little bit. Because everyone just like accept everyone, be yourself. And like I said, that's true. But like sometimes it's like doing it's just like any skill. Like if you're doing pottery, like and you're trying to make something, like it's gonna suck the first time. And the people that are like, oh my gosh, that's so good, like they're lying to you. Like they're literally lying to you. But like if they say, "Oh, that's a good start," like you need to do your homework, you need to work on it, and then like you can get the praise. And I think it's the same with like doing anything on social media. Like be yourself, but like you need to like have that skill set a little bit first. Like
Mm.
thinking that you're just gonna post videos of you playing a video game is gonna blow up. Like it will never blow up if first of all you suck, or your commentary isn't that funny or that great. Like you're never gonna get like great feedback if you suck, right? But everyone's gonna suck in the beginning. So I know, for example, like with me, like my clients and people that I do like ads for have done social media over the years, like you kind of need a baseline, like you need to kind of research and see what has given other people success. And you kind of need to like either copy that or give your own spin on it. Because we as humans, we're all the same in a way. And we all like and dislike similar things. Like I said, authenticity obviously is one. So you can like learn how to be authentic from watching other authentic people. Like
Mm.
an authentic person that people like isn't going to be someone that like posts a picture of some soup that they made and says, I made soup, I love it, here's the ingredients. Like no one cares about that, right? But there's a way that you couldn't do that that people do like, but you got to find the person that does that is authentic and people like it. So like I said, I don't know if that made a whole lot of sense at the end, but like,
No, absolutely.
yeah, like, so I'd say those are my pieces of advice.
Like play to your strengths, play to what value you actually do bring, and be honest and open with yourself about what that is. Maybe it's not going to be
Yeah.
posting about cooking. Maybe it's going to be posting about Marvel memes or something weird like that. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
Great advice.
exactly.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're at the last question of the night that I ask every single guest that comes on. What does happiness mean to you?
I think for me, happiness changes sometimes, like the reason for happiness and stuff. And speaking about Beast games, like Mr. Beast, something that he said that's pretty profound that I think plugs into this a little bit is he says a lot of people like ask him why he does YouTube videos, and people usually expect like one answer or one reason. But he said like we as humans are complex and there's lots of different reasons. Like for him, he doesn't want to just make YouTube videos to be the number one best. It's a big reason. Like he's competitive, like extremely competitive. So he wants to be the best, but he also wants to help people. He loves to give away money and see their reactions. He wants to get as many views as possible. Like he likes the fame, like he'll admit that. So he has like a bunch of reasons why he does what he does. And he doesn't have to just have one reason. So I think for me, like what is happiness? There's like multiple things that can make me happy. And sometimes certain things have more of a reason than others, and they fluctuate over time. And I think as I've like lived my life, I've realized it's okay to have multiple reasons. You don't need to have one big overarching thing. It's okay to have multiple things. And like I said, those change all the time. Sometimes money makes me super happy. Sometimes I'm craving relationships. Sometimes I'm craving being super healthy and fit. Sometimes I am really wanting a vacation and post about it and see what people say to my posts. Or, there's lots of different things that make me happy. But yeah, there's just a lot, and it's okay to have lots of different reasons. So
I love that. That beautiful answer. Well, thank you, Kaden, for all that you do. Thank you for your advice and for the energy that you've brought onto the show tonight, and for your optimism, man. I really look up to you, and it's fun and exciting to see your journey, both as a professional and as an individual. Best of luck. Keep crushing it, and you have a wonderful night. And thank you again so much, man. Appreciate you.
awesome. Thank you so much, Noah. You've been an awesome example in my life. We have a podcast, flip the switch, and do the same thing about you. You're someone that deserves that.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Awesome. Thank you for listening to the Why Not podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow and share with your friends.